Okay, hi everyone, welcome back. The other day I mentioned to you some folks on YouTube who has inspired me to speak out on various topics. I mentioned Steven Crowder and I mentioned Charlie Kirk, right? Both of these guys, they have a lot of courage and their courage was very contagious. And I wanted to learn how to be courageous and speak out on topics that matter to me. Well, there's somebody else who also has encouraged me to speak out, and his name is Jeff Gray. He has a YouTube channel called Honor Your Oath, where he goes out to traditional public forums such as City Hall and holds up a cardboard sign that says, "God bless the homeless vets." So, just to show you, he does something similar to this, but on a cardboard sign: "God bless the homeless vets." He'll stand at the steps of City Hall and just wave and say, "God bless the homeless vets." He's not asking for money, nothing. That's all he's doing, right? And yet, he has been arrested multiple times across the United States for simply saying, "God bless the homeless vets." Now, this was shocking to me because I was raised knowing that we have the First Amendment, right? We have freedom of speech, and that you can go out to traditional public forums and you can hold up a sign that says, "God bless the homeless vets," if you felt like it. So I watched this guy's video, Jeff Gray, videos for probably about 8 months, studying him, studying how he de-escalates situations. Now, he's not always successful, and in his older videos, sometimes he would lose his cool, but as he continued, he developed his skill more and more. And yeah, so I just thought this was incredible. He has a message. Now, he is stress testing the essentially our government, right? So he is what's called a First Amendment auditor. And his goal is to see, is the government going to try to strip him of his rights? And sometimes people respect him and sometimes they don't. So I did not necessarily want to, my goal wasn't to be a First Amendment auditor. My goal was simply to spread a message. So I did something a little bit different. I had my message on the front of me on a poster board, and then I had a poster board that hung off the back of me and said, "Free speech matters," and some other things referencing the Constitution. I think I wrote out the First Amendment. And the police did come out. They saw the message in the front. They were in their cars and saw the message in the front. And then I turned around so they could read the message in the back. And they just went on their way. So for all I know, they were just curious about, the sign. Where I'm from, people regularly stand outside of traditional public forums and spread messages. The Jehovah's Witnesses are out there, which, I just think how great that is that they are keeping the First Amendment alive when they're doing this. I never thought about that before, but we would kind of run into each other frequently because we were standing outside of the same places. One place was the courthouse. We were there, so they were on their side and I was on my side. There was another time where we were at a library, and so they had their section and I had my section. So it was really cool. Anyway, all that to be said, we want to keep the First Amendment alive. And we need folks who are courageous. We need people to have the courage to go out and, stand out in a traditional public forum and have a message and be able to engage in conversation and debate. I can say I did have some people that came up to me that were rather hostile because of the message that I had. And thanks to watching Jeff Gray, I knew how to de-escalate the situation. I also watched Lackluster and Audit the Audit to see folks de-escalate. So if you've ever watched, for example, Audit the Audit, he gives a grade to the police and he gives a grade to the citizen. And when the citizen is able to de-escalate, then they will get an A or an A plus. When the police are able to de-escalate and handle themselves appropriately, they get an A or A plus. And so that was very helpful because here I knew that I was going to go out and spread a message. I knew some people were not going to like the message that I was spreading, and I wanted to know how to de-escalate. I wanted to know how to speak with the police in a way where I'm going to get a positive outcome, and it worked. I did have a very positive outcome when the police came out. They probably came out maybe 3 times, and then after that, they were like, they knew who I was, so I didn't even see them after that. And with the citizens, it was really, really, really beneficial. So anyway, I just wanted to, share this message with you. I hope that you go check out Jeff Gray's channel, Honor Your Oath. I'll put a link below. Check out one of his older videos where you can really see, what he's doing. He sets up a camera kind of on the side, and he just holds the his God Bless the Homeless Vets cardboard sign, and you can see his interaction with the police. The police are always called. What he's doing, see, when people see this sign, they think he's asking for money. They think he's panhandling. He's not panhandling. That's not his goal. But people assume that he's panhandling. People assume that he's homeless. And apparently people, are very upset, at the idea of a homeless person asking for money. And I guess they feel like it brings down the neighborhood. So to speak. He's at the steps of City Hall. But he's not panhandling, and even if he was panhandling, that's legal, that is allowed. The Constitution gives us freedom of speech, and you are allowed to ask for help, right? So if I've put up a sign that says, please give $1, you're allowed to do that, right? Panhandling has been determined to be legal. But a lot of particularly small towns don't know this. He also goes to Florida quite a bit, and there seems to be ordinances in Florida against panhandling, and you cannot have an ordinance that supersedes the Constitution. So he has taken people to court. Ordinances have been changed, right? These unconstitutional ordinances have been changed. Some of the settlements in the lawsuit has been, he just wants the police to be retrained. They want them to be trained properly. And so he's now pretty well known in Florida. But having said that, he posted a video recently, an update. So back in December, he was on the sidewalk, and right next to him was the Salvation Army ringing their little bell asking for money. It's Christmas time, and so the Salvation Army was, ringing their bells, asking for donations, and people called the cops on him and wanted him to be arrested for asking for money. not the person actually begging. So the person actually begging, the Salvation Army guy, nobody had a problem with him. But Jeff Gray, who was not begging for money, he just simply had a cardboard sign that said, "God bless the homeless vets." That was a problem, right? And I mean, the hypocrisy was not lost on me. So there's been an internal investigation due to this police interaction, and the audio from the internal investigation has been posted over the last 3 days. They're really short clippets. And when I listened to the one that was played today, the police still think that Jeff Gray was not, in fact, allowed to hold his sign on the sidewalk. That was incredible. Like, even after everything had happened, they still don't get it. So his lawyers are going to have to, follow up and continue to pursue this. So yeah, if anyone out there would like to help protect our First Amendment right, simply going outside and holding a sign on a traditional public forum is beneficial, right? Do it for one day. Whatever topic matters to you. It could be religious. I mean, Jeff Gray says, "God bless the homeless vets." For me, I held up a sign relating to COVID vaccines. So that's what mattered to me. Maybe to you, you don't want, fluoride in the drinking water, or maybe, I don't know, you don't want chemicals being sprayed on the food, or there's a data center going up in your neighborhood and you don't want the data center. The point is, do something that matters to you and go out into traditional public forums and see what happens. Now, I'm not encouraging you to see what happens to the point where you get arrested. Jeff Gray is willing to, there are times when the police interact with him and Jeff Gray says, "So if I don't go away, you're going to arrest me." And the police say yes. And Jeff Gray is willing to be arrested and then take it to court. So you have to do what's right for you, or would you be willing to take it that far? My goal wasn't to, my goal was just to be able to spread my message, which was why I wore something behind me talking about free speech, in the First Amendment. Watch his videos, see how he de-escalates, see how he interacts. You could learn from the arguments. People will try to claim, you're not allowed to do this for X, Y, and Z, and so you'll know how to defend it. And understand that if you go out, you cannot be belligerent and break the law. You cannot block somebody's pathway. So if you're on the sidewalk, you cannot block the sidewalk. I went to places where nobody could try to construe it as if I was blocking any sort of pathway. I was off to the side, but in a very visible spot. So do it, but make sure you're doing it in a lawful way and do it politely. I just think that we have to keep the First Amendment alive. This is a very basic right in the United States. So anyway, that's all I have. I don't want to, bore you guys with that. But yeah, so some of these guys out there on YouTube, they've been an inspiration to me, has, helped give me the courage to go out. Like I said, I'm not necessarily interested in the same topics as these other guys, but I learned from them. There were a lot of lessons that I learned, and yeah, it was really helpful. So if you're out there, having conversations with people, know how to de-escalate, know when to, to walk away, do things in a safe and smart manner. The powers that be want us divided. So doing things like this, for me, there were a lot of people that was very supportive in what I was doing, and that's one thing that came out of it that was so fantastic, is just people one after another supporting me and standing with me and stayed with me, and it was really quite an amazing thing. Don't allow don't allow this psyop that's being warred against us to work. Okay, don't put people in a tribe. Judge people on their own merit. Do not put them in a box. That's what they want. They want us to be tribal, and we need to break that tribal language. I see a lot of people saying, well, they're doing this because they're Democrat, and they're doing this because of their Republic. That type of language is dangerous. How about we say they're doing this because, they're not very smart? Judge each person on their own merit. Don't put them in tribes. That will only divide us more. Okay? So anyway, go check out Honor Your Oath. He's fantastic. And I guess in my next video, we will get back to our traditional water fluoridation investigation. Yay! That's all for now, guys. Bye.